Children, believe it or not, are the first line of defense of every community. Children are quite sus, they're quite tough, and they give you a really hard time. When you enter into a neighborhood, they're there. The adults are busy doing their jobs or the shopping or whatever. The kids are there in force. They're checking you out, not in a conscious way. And they give you stick, and you have to kind of survive that. Once I won them over, then the parents thought he must be okay. I rediscovered these pictures only recently. They were lying in a drawer. They were on contact sheets for over 35 years. I had completely forgotten about them. And out of the blue, in 2008, I received an email. It was a guy who said, in 1975, he was a 13-year-old kid. And am I the same photographer that came down his street in Liverpool? The 1970s was a particular moment in time. I've just been to Liverpool recently and I didn't recognize the place. The transformation is pretty impressive. Vast areas had disappeared. They looked like they'd been flattened and bombed, but nothing put in its place. And of course the kids, it was a great place to play. There was always rubbish tips. They were setting fires to it. I mean, and in those times maybe the parents were not so concerned and gave the kids a lot more freedom. That's just the backdrop. They're not bothered. They don't really know what bleak is. They're just having fun. I was basically comparing two areas. One where I was living, an area where the traditional housing had been knocked down and replaced with these new social experiments, these high-rise, which were a disaster. I lived in one of them for the 6 months while I was there. And I found another area, which then in those days was called Lodge Lane. Nowadays it's called Toxteth. And there I found two particular streets. One was called Handel Street and one was called Mozart Street. Brilliant, classic. Long terraced streets with two up, two down, virtually no traffic, lots of kids, lots of action, games and stuff in the street, parents, people sitting on the front door, mums and aunties and grandparents. Ian was one of the kids in Mozart Street. When I sent him the pictures, he identified himself. These kids came up to me and said, "You never come to our den." I said, "What's your den?" I said, where is it? He said, "Well, you go down to the very end, there's a little path and you'll find this old garage that nobody uses." And wandered down, and there they were. They were having a party, they had candles, they had music, and I thought they were like 7 or 8. Ian says he was 13 at the time. And they're kind of snogging in with this music, and it was quite a cosy little place. I'm kind of celebrating, I mean, it was an era where you could celebrate. I think now, it's not so easy to celebrate. The kids had more freedom, the parents felt more relaxed about the kids playing out, and photographers had more freedom. So there wasn't all this anxiety, there wasn't this paranoia. Photographers were almost like being terrorists and people having to be very wary of them. So now I kind of feel I was kind of quite living and working in a very privileged time. This is a generation that's not being photographed in that way, this current one. The whole exhibition's about childhood in Liverpool in the mid-70s. And it's only part one because I'm hoping that people who identify themselves or recognize themselves or their friends or their relatives in the pictures get in touch so I can make new photographs. And that will be part two. We're curious, we're observing, and then life presents the most fantastic surprises. And you just hope you're quick enough to grab it. And the privilege for photographers is, we can actually show people what we've seen,